All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the Week 6 edition of the Sports Insanity Network's NFL Recap Show here on the Sports Insanity Network's YouTube page. The Old Ops guy, Mike Rifkin with you. Old Ops guy, good morning. How are you?
Meh, just meh.
Just smack.
Between weather, the Mets being out of baseball, and the disappointment week after week is starting to bother me.
Well, I'll say this about one of the things you mentioned. You're right. The weather's been really crappy the past couple of days. On the Mets, I've gotten what I've wanted out of baseball now because neither the Phillies nor the Yankees will win the World Series. And if there was some sort of baseball god, the Dodgers won't win the World Series either.
It's
And I don't want to hear about disappointment week after week because now I've got a quarterback who throws his own team under the bus.
fair
We'll,
enough.
we'll dive into all of that because we're going to recap each game, talk about it intensively, and dive into some other stuff. Let's start with Thursday night, though, because I thought this was. I don't want to say it was the biggest upset of the week because I think there were a couple of big upsets. But I thought this was the second biggest statement of the week, and that is the Giants beating the Eagles by a score of 34-17. And we went over statistics and stuff on Sunday sideline report. But now that I've thought about this, and it makes me really think, like, you know what? Maybe I was wrong about the Giants in the sense of they should have just started Jackson Dart from the beginning.
We talk about first year quarterbacks and whether they should be holding a clipboard and watching for that first year, or what pretty much better than 70% of teams had done, thrusted their number one pick in and let it go. I am a person who weighs 60-40 on this. I think it is more vital for a number one draft quarterback not to be thrusted right into the NFL. I think they need to wait. So, for answering Mike's part, I don't think the Giants should have started Jackson Dart in the beginning. They went the right way with Russell Wilson and then replacing him with Jackson Dart. Fine. Was I wrong on the Giants so far? Yeah, I'm going to have to say they've won more games than I thought they would. Also, that defense, when it plays together, is a good defense.
Well, the key to the whole defense is the defensive line because you got Brian Burns, you got Dexter Lawrence, you got Abdul Carter, you got Kayvon Thibodeau. You got depth on the line. Linebackers are okay, but if you got a pass rush, the secondary can do its job. Problem is when you don't get there and the corners have to cover forever, that leads to the pass interference, illegal contact, nonsensical garbage. Because let's be blunt, let me be blunt about this. The referees are throwing flags like they're giving away Halloween candy.
There's been way too many flags and way too few flags against certain teams, if you get my drift on that.
Like I don't even go like against this team flag or that team. Just in general, I don't need to hear the referee's voice 10
every
to
play.
12 times. Like, dude, if I have to know the referee's name, we're off to a bad start already because you're throwing the flag way too much. Let the players decide the game. But to flip side it to the Philly for a minute, and we talked a little bit about this Sunday, but this Eagles team's got some issues. And, I talked about it last week on Wishbone with Noah. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. They don't look like the team that won the Super Bowl last year. They look like the team from 2 years ago that choked. That's what they look like. And I don't know if it's a Nick Sirianni problem. I do not know if it's a new coordinator's problem. I don't know if it's a Jalen Hurts problem. But there's something there that's just not meshing on a team that should have one of the most dynamic offenses in the league.
With the players they have, absolutely. There's something wrong, whether it's with Jalen Hurts' shoulder, and I don't think a lot of people are looking at that. His passes, to an extent, have been okay, but he's high and he's long when he's going downfield, which shows he's trying to get the ball off earlier to put more power behind it. We know Saquon Barkley is dealing with a calf injury. It's not enough to keep him out of a game, but it is on the injury report. When you have a game against the Giants, Saquon Barkley is the player you expect to be with 4 touchdowns, not Cam Skettaboo. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not taking anything away from that kid, but you wouldn't expect the 3 touchdowns to be on the other side of the grid in this matchup. I think there's a lot of problems going on between AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts, and it's starting to spill over all over the place. I don't have firsthand on answer. I'm not in the locker room, but this is just what I've noticed. They do not look like a very cohesive playing team, and Devonta Smith also has been playing rather weakly. The only player I've noticed has played well is Dallas Goedert.
And Goddard once again led the team in receptions and targets. 9 catches on 11 targets, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Here's the number for you. 14. 14 is the number. That's not because the Giants beat the Eagles by 14 points. That's the amount of touches in a 60-minute football game that Saquon Barkley had.
And
That's
that makes
not
no
enough.
sense.
That's not enough. 12 carries for 58 yards, averaged almost 5 yards a carry, and then 2 catches for 9 yards. Sorry, I need more than that. This team last year, what made them really, really good was balance. They ran the ball well, they threw the ball well because there was balance. They ran the ball 20 times in this game, total. Now, part of that could have been indicative of the score late, but at the same time, this is not a team that is drop back and throw it around. It's not who they are. That's never been who they are. So the Philly's got some problems, and they're going to go to a place this week where those problems aren't going to get solved quickly. They're going to Minnesota. The Giants go to Denver and play the Broncos. Man, if the Giants beat the Broncos and go to 3-4,
would never predicted that.
nah. All right, let's see what else we've got. All right, We had another London game, which we updated you on Sunday sideline. The Broncos beat the Jets. The Jets remain the only winless team in football. They also
Sorry,
might be the
Dan.
most helpless team in football now because Garrett Wilson is going to be down a couple of weeks with a knee injury. So there goes the Jets passing game.
The Jets got very lucky with the fact that it was only a hyperextended knee and not a tear in the ACL.
Yeah, they are very lucky. But the other thing is this, and I understand this won't happen. I don't know how long Aaron Glenn's going to last here.
We talked about this a little bit last night about coaches firing, and I still don't think they're going to get rid of Aaron Glenn this year. I think fans are going to be calling for it, and rightfully so. But guy's first shot at head coach, got to give him more than 6 games to try to do something.
Here's my problem with Aaron Glenn. But my three problems are one, this team has the same issues that they had the last couple of years under Salah. They are undisciplined. They take way too many penalties. They're not good enough to come back against them. Part of that is the talent on the offensive side of the ball. But it just seems to me like I don't know what it is. There's just nothing that I want to say scares you, but it just there's no wow factor. Like in Detroit where, for Dan Campbell, where Aaron Glenn was, like you could see there was steady improvement and these guys respond to Dan Campbell. Haven't seen that from the Jets with Aaron Glenn, where they
Now,
respond. And I'm supposed to trust this guy to pick the quarterback of the future if I'm a Jet fan.
if anything, a record that has been set that goes down is the fact that the Jets passed for a total of negative 10 yards on the day, and that hasn't happened in almost 27 years.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens with Aaron Glenn, the Jets, but they'll have a shot this week to win their first game. They host the Panthers, who are rolling 2 in a row for the Carolina Panthers and American hero Rico Dowdle. The Panthers beat your Cowboys 30-27.
I've said in my article in the week before that the only thing the Cowboys had to do was to stop Rico Dowdle. You stop him, the entire offense is done. From the moment that game started to the moment it ended, they didn't stop Rico Dowdle. They might have just rolled out the red carpet for him and let him just go 183 yards. Are you effing kidding me? On the positive side, on the Cowboys side, is this: Dak Prescott yet again played error-free football. Yeah, but that's also against the Carolina Panthers. Javonte Williams had his worst game as a Cowboy with 13 carries and 29 yards. But George Pickens has proven beyond proven why he deserves to be on this team. 9 receptions, 168 yards, and a touchdown. The Dallas Cowboys offense can match up against almost any offense that is out there. Their defense could not match up with a pee-wee defense and come out on top or even in the top 5. It is embarrassing to watch. And it's time for Jerry Jones to take one of two of those draft picks that he got from Micah Parsons. And let's get on the phone and let's see if Max Crosby is available from Las Vegas, like they're dangling him. I'd be willing to use one of those to bring him in. Otherwise, the Cowboys should have won this game and should be at 3-2-1, but no, as usual, the defense lets us down and we go to 2-3-1, but they're not out of it.
If only the Cowboys had a player on defense who had this raw ability to make plays. Oh
I mean,
man,
the guy who had piss and vinegar running through his veins.
the guy, I don't know. I mean, they need a Micah. Oh wait, Micah Parsons isn't there anymore because
Again, I'll say it before. I'm angry he's gone. He is clearly, I mean, this is no offense to a lot of other players out there. And he's clearly the best defensive player in football. And Dallas let him go. Fine. If I'm going to sit and dwell on this, it's like Minnesota fans dwelling on what they gave up for Herschel Walker back in the day. You know, I admit it's the worst thing that could have happened. Now, yeah, got these two extra first round picks. You got a few players who are being dangling, and one of them who has already come out and said, we'll sign an extension with Dallas. Go get Max Crosby. You got him
he
and
just
Kenny
out of
Clark.
Vegas though.
He wants out.
I mean, I'd want out of Vegas too, especially with Geno Smith. We'll get into that.
And I'm
I
sorry, I'd use one if you could get him out and put him there. That would definitely shore up a huge problem for Dallas.
here's the thing: if you're going to dangle first round pick, I need a commitment that he's there. That'd be the first thing. The other thing is this: we could sit here and talk about Micah Parsons, and we could sit here and talk about certain things with the Cowboys. The problem with the Cowboys isn't really just on the field. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys, is the guy in the owner's box.
I've said that for years.
He is the problem because of this team and Micah Parsons, with the way Brian Schottenheimer has coached this team, which I will give Brian Schottenheimer a ton of credit. I thought he was going to be a lame duck, one and done, and then Jerry would decide on who he really wants. This offense looks really good. Now, there are times where they have issues running. They haven't had issues running the football, although I'm still waiting on the Javonte Williams pulled hamstring at some point. But you got George Pickens. You're going to get CD Lamb back, it looks like,
And
after the bye.
no, it's possible. He will be practicing in limited participation Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of this week.
Yeah, but
He
they're on bye this week, aren't they?
No, they got Washington on Sunday.
Oh, yeah, Washington. Okay.
They get Washington, then Denver, and then a bye.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So
CD
I could have
Lamb,
sworn I read after the bye, but I could be wrong.
yeah, no,
Um,
CD Lamb is practicing this week. There is no guarantee that he
he
will have
plays.
any action or that he plays at all, but it's just a positive sign that things are getting better. That's all.
Hmm. So eventually you'll get CD back. Eventually they'll get Cavante Turpin back. I don't know what happened with him.
He's at least he's after the bye. They're saying at least 3 more weeks.
But anyway, they've got dynamite on offense. And Dak Prescott, as well as he's played, and he deserves credit for how well he's played as well. The thing that's holding them back is the defense and the owner. By the way, Matt Eberflus, what the hell are you doing? This guy's supposed to know defense. This defense has looked like Swiss cheese at times.
He was not he, well, don't want to say, yeah, he was. We're going to use it as was when he was with Chicago. And I was excited when Dallas got him. What the heck has happened?
Yeah, this defense has a lot of issues.
Yep.
See what happens. But you know what? Carolina, 2 wins in a row at home. They got a chance to go on the road, get over 500. I still don't believe in Bryce Young a lot.
No, he had a nice game against a Swiss, like Mike put it, a Swiss cheese defense. The one play that I'll say was the one that stood out was the one where he scrambled down and found Legit in the back of the end zone. That was a nice running pass.
Hmm. I'm just not there on Bryce Young yet. So we'll see what happens. But Carolina will look to go to 4-3. Dallas will look to get back to 500. Um, Speaking of 500, how about a team that's now 5-1 on the season? Mark's real favorite quarterback in the NFL, Indiana Jones, as the Colts beat the Cardinals by a score of 31-27. There was no Kyler Murray, it was Jacoby Brissett, and he almost led the Cardinals to upsetting the Colts in this game.
Talked about Jacoby Brissett for a couple of years, and when he's given the opportunity to play, he shows up, whether it's been for New England or whatever. I've always liked him as having him as a backup quarterback. So, he came very close. He threw for 320 yards, the great game. But Daniel mother effing dimes, 5-1. I want to know if anybody ever bet that prop bet for the Colts to start 5-1 and what they won. I don't even know what the prop bet would have been, but it would have been big.
And again, look, Daniel Jones has played great. Take nothing away from Daniel Jones. The key to the Colts' success has been two things. Jonathan Taylor's healthy,
Yes.
and Lou Anarumo's defense. When it comes down to it, they find ways to either force turnovers or they make a big play. They play a lot of bend, don't break. Daniel Jones has been really good. So is Tyler Warren. I still think the Colts are missing a weapon on the outside. I've been screaming that for like the last number of years. The one thing I want the Colts to go get is a wide receiver.
I mean, not to take anything away from Michael Pittman Jr., I know they signed him to be their number one. He's not a number one.
He's not a
He's a
one.
he's a good number two, good slot receiver, but he's not that number one guy you can rely on every time you're going to throw the ball. Of a big improvement, you got to give it to Tyler Warren, who had another big game, 6 receptions for 63 yards and a touchdown. Starting to look like TJ Hawkinson when he came on in the league.
Yeah, Big Ten tight ends built differently. All right. We got, speaking of 5-1 teams, the Steelers beat the Browns. They go to 5-1. I'm not there on the Steelers. I know what their record says, but I'm just not there. There's nothing the Pittsburgh Steelers do that says to me, we are an elite Super Bowl team.
And that's pretty much a shot right in the center of the target. again, like Mike said, I know what the record says, but I'm not willing to back this team 100% either. But I think Mike said it right.
Cleveland, Dylan Gabriel, he he was okay. I think Cleveland's got other issues outside of just whoever's playing quarterback. And I know there's people in the media calling for Shedeur to start. I I got to be honest with you. I don't dislike Dylan Gabriel. I actually happen to like him a lot. Cleveland, how do you judge a young quarterback in Cleveland? There's not a lot of weapons. There's not a lot of things to love on that team.
Right.
So, all right, let's see what else we got. We had the Rams beating the Ravens by a score of 17-3. The Ravens made news after the game where John Harbaugh said Lamar Jackson will be back next week following the team's bye week this week.
And that's good news for the Baltimore Ravens because I mean, as happy as I was seeing Cooper Rush to get another shot, I'm sorry to say, I believe this will be his final shot with this team, at least, as when Lamar comes back, I'm sure they're going to have a different option behind him. I was sad to see Cooper Rush have such a bad time, but this Baltimore team is anything but a AFC contending team.
And I think with Lamar, if you look at the back half of their schedule, they've got some winnable games. So they could get back into the thick of this thing. By the way, they haven't played Pittsburgh yet. So they were able to win both those games. They're right back in the AFC North. So see what happens there. But for the Rams, the big thing is Puka Nacua. Sprained
Yes.
ankle, may not play this week in London.
There isn't a part on this guy that isn't hurt. I think it would be advantageous for the Rams not to play him this week. I asked for fantasy owners. I know that sucks, but hey.
Yeah. And speaking, but basically, we all know if you play in London with an injury, it's getting re-aggravated.
Yes.
All right. So let me ask you this. Entering week 7, if I were to ask you who is in first place in the AFC East, what would your answer be?
What would I say is the first place of the AFC
East.
East? Buffalo Bills.
Well, interesting claim because I think a lot of people would expect that, but that is not the correct answer. Heading into week 7, the team in first place in the AFC East are the Fighting Mike Vrabels. The Patriots are coming off of a win over the New Orleans Saints 25-19. Drake May was awesome again. And this combined with the Bills, who we'll get into in a minute, the New England Patriots are 4-2.
Another great game for Drake May. 3 touchdowns. And no offense to the wide receivers, these aren't guys you hear at the top of draft sheets. These are anybody who's getting a chance is getting a shot right now because there will be changes as this team is sitting 4-2, which, as Mike said, I went with Buffalo because I thought that's where it was, and I was wrong. Damn you, Moser. In all seriousness, though, have the Patriots finally settled on a quarterback? We know that the Mac Jones era did not last long, but now he's thriving in San Francisco. Is this where they're going to stay with this quarter? Is Drake May the lock-in now?
Yeah, Drake May's the guy. He's got to be the guy. He's played like the guy. And listen, Drake May deserves a lot of credit, but the credit goes to one person and one person only, in my opinion. We always talk about how we want a team to play with the identity to the head coach. Mike Vrabel knows the Patriot way because he played there his whole career, basically. And he set a standard. Now he's the coach and can set his own standard. And this team is playing their asses off for Mike Vrabel. Yeah, what's weird about New England is it's kind of like the polar opposite of Philly. The Patriots aren't as the most talented team in the world, but they play their asses off for 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And Mike Vrabel lets you know if they don't. So they found the quarterback in Drake May. The receivers are okay with Diggs and Kayshon Boutte and whatever. The defense is bend, really don't break. But they play hard. And they're 4-2 and they're reaping the benefits right now. As for the Saints, well, look forward to the trade deadline where you should just blow this whole thing up.
A lot of talk between not only Mike and myself, but others here on the network. We're pretty much all in the same range. We all believe Kamara could be a very big trade prospect. Also, Olave, too, could be another piece on the move.
Kamara, Olave, Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan
would be one I would look into, maybe Demario Davis. But
yeah, this is the time for the Saints to recoup picks and redo this team.
Yeah. So.
And no offense to Spencer Rattler, but you are not the guy.
No, but he's a guy who could compete.
Oh, I'm not saying he can't compete, but he is not the start. He is not a start. He's not a number one quarterback.
He's not a number one quarterback. All right. So that was Patriots, Saints. So you mentioned the Bills, and let's talk about them. Monday night, they lose 24-14 to the Atlanta Falcons. And some of us, Buffalo, had you covering with the 3.5.
Saying most of us had you covering with the 3.5.
Look, again, something I said on Wishbone last week to Noah. Find it wherever you get your podcasts. This is not a dig at the Buffalo Bills. But if Josh Allen's not God, the Bills don't win. And this Bills team has more problems than when Josh Allen is not playing God.
Josh Allen, over the short time he's been in the NFL, has excelled every year, has gotten better, and always has been the top echelon of quarterbacks in the AFC and in the NFL. This week, that was not him. That was a pod person out there. We don't see Josh Allen throwing 15 completed passes, it's less than 50% of his passes, plus 2 interceptions. James Cook couldn't get anything going. However, hats off to the Atlanta Falcons. The triplets were in form. Penix with 250 yards and a touchdown. Bijan with 20 carries and 170 yards, and Drake London 10 for 158. The question answering Mike's question, who is Drake London, the number one wide receiver in Atlanta?
Well, no, I like Drake London. I like Bijan. The guy I've got questions about is still Penix. I thought he played really well, but there are also games where they lose 30-0 in Carolina. That just still rings in my head. Like, they beat the Bills, but they lose 30-0 to Carolina, and it doesn't make sense to me. They are the most confusing team in football, the Atlanta Falcons, and they're going to continue to be confusing. But that being said, this is a really good win. I'm going to give that defense some credit though. That defense played its ass off against Josh Allen. They really didn't let him scramble. They played very smart for the most part. They got a couple of turnovers. The Atlanta Falcons, that's a really good win. If this was college basketball, that's a really good NCAA tournament quality win.
No, this was an oppressive. This was an oppressive, impressive showing by the Atlanta Falcons.
The other Monday night game we had, because we had two, the Bears beat the Commanders 25-24 in a game the Commanders just literally gave away.
Mike just said it right there. They literally did give it away.
The turnovers, and I love Jaden Daniels, but that last fumble.
Yeah. Look, this Washington team was predicted to be Super Bowl contenders, NFC East winners. And you want to know something? Even I was evaluating Washington as much higher up. Again, this is the same thing with the Buffalo Bill problem. If Jaden Daniels isn't doing it all, Washington isn't winning. Washington is now 3-3. This is not where Washington should be. It's not where Philadelphia should be. The teams that are the surprise are the Cowboys and the Giants. Now the Cowboys go in to face Washington this weekend for probably one of the biggest showdowns in the first half of the season. The Bears.
Look, Caleb played well. There's still that whole roller coaster thing with him, like last year.
Yeah, I don't know how to say I like him because the ups and downs with him are just
He's got to find consistency. They have the weapons offensively. They really do. He's just got to find something that makes him him. I was going to say make him Jared Goff, but you know what? That's not fair to compare him to Jared Goff.
right.
But I would make the comparison just based on Ben Johnson being there. He just needs to find that consistency. They've got the weapons and they got a pretty good defense. That defense has played really well for the most part. They're getting turnovers. They, made some plays Monday night. They played well against your Cowboys earlier in the year.
They did.
Yeah, so they have the building blocks there in Chicago. They just need to start putting it together.
And that NFC North, we had talked about how dangerous this division is going to be, and whether it's going to be the Lions, the Bears, the Packers. I don't know about the Vikings, but right now you got three teams
Listen, I'm going
that
to
are
throw the Vikings
right
in there
on
because
even keel.
I'm
They're
going to
not
throw the
far out.
Vikings in there.
It's just I'm a little bit off on them right now. It's early.
No. But you need to see what JJ McCarthy is. But listen, with his injury, they've still hung around with Carson Wentz.
So the name that makes us all just blink. The journeyman himself. Yeah, look, Carson Wentz has done a good job in Minnesota so far. He's keeping Minnesota in it, but they're not going to be able to keep up if it's Carson Wentz the rest of the
No, it
season.
has to be
Let's put it that way.
McCarthy.
Correct.
Speaking of the NFC North, the Packers win again. They beat the Bengals 27-18. Look, I like the Packers. Josh Jacobs had another solid game. Matthew Golden made an appearance. Dobbs has played well. Tucker Kraft has a touchdown. I still don't buy Jordan Love. And that That is a big problem for me. And that is the one thing holding me back on saying the Packers are a Super Bowl team. I don't believe in Jordan Love.
With them being in that, as we just talked about that NFC North, I don't know what Jordan Love is, but right now I know he's got his team at 3-1-1. They got a winning record. Josh Jacobs, everybody knew was going to have a big game against Cincinnati, and hats off to him for it. Glad to see Golden get in on it, as you said. I would like to have seen him get in the end zone. That would have been nicer. But the thing I want to point out is this quote unquote Green Bay defense, again, almost allowed Cincinnati to creep back in it. They let Dallas creep back to force a tie. I don't want to hear how good this Green Bay Packer defense is until they beat a top echelon team.
No, no, you're right. This should have been a blowout. This should have
Right?
been a blowout. And that you're right. They let Cincinnati creep back in with Joe Flacco at the helm.
Exactly. If it was anybody else, who cares? But you let a 42-year-old quarterback who has receivers, all he has to do is throw the ball in the air and they're going to be caught.
And this is like
How
you're
can
playing Joe
Green Bay
Flacco for a
allow,
couple.
since that defense cannot hold up 4 quarters?
Oh, they're gonna have to learn, but they've they showed up in week one, and
Yeah,
it seems like they haven't shown up since.
no. Week 1 was the best showing this defense has had. The last 4 games have been so subpar.
Uh, and just to round out the NFC North, because the Vikings were on the bye week. Sunday night, the Lions lose to the Chiefs 30-17. Um, Two things here. The Brian Branch thing was insane, and the Chiefs are back. Not that they went anywhere.
It was nice to see the one person who we were expecting to have a good game, and that's Xavier Worthy. And he, as I said to Mike, I said, I'm hoping he's the new Tyreek Hill for Patrick Mahomes. And that's what it's starting to look to be. But one thing you have to agree with is since Worthy's return, this entire offense has stepped up. I mean, all of a sudden, Kelsey's catching 6 receptions a game, Pacheco and Hunter almost averaging 50 yards apiece, and the defense stopped the toughest run offense in football.
And they shut down the run pretty well too. You're right. And look, I'm going to say this on the Lions: like the Lions are not going to score 40 a game. That's just not going to happen. Jared Goff was really good. He was really efficient. But if they can't run the ball, they're not going to win. It's just not how they are built to ground and pound you and then play off of play action. That being said, the lines were kind of due for this kind of game, and Kansas City. I'm going to say this right now on October 15th, 2025. Forget what I said before about the Chiefs being back. Right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are the best team in the AFC. And I know this is going to be met with a lot of eyebrow raising and head fakes. Like they're 3-3. You're right. They're 3-3. They're about to get Rashee Rice back on offense. This defense is coming off of a great performance. But at the same time, there's no one else in the AFC right now I really trust. Buffalo just dropped 2 straight to New England and Atlanta. The Baltimore Ravens are 1-5. We talked about Pittsburgh at 5-1. We don't believe in them. Mainly because Mike Tomlin does some voodoo crap that gets Joe Burrow and Lamar both hurt. And here come Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, who took care of business the last couple of weeks. They're 3-3, and they're about to get going again.
Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs are obviously going to be there in the playoffs. My question will be is how healthy they're going to be come that.
Well, two keys. They're going to get their bye week soon. I believe they get their bye week soon. Let me double check that.
Within the next 2 weeks, yeah.
But anyway, and Rashee Rice is like making a trade at the trade deadline.
Yep, and the trade deadline coming up very soon also here.
November the 4th.
Right.
So they play the Raiders this week. Then they play Washington. Then they go to Buffalo. And then they get their bye week. So then the week of November 9th. Oh, then they play the Broncos, Colts, and Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. What a game that'll be.
How many times will they show Taylor Swift in Jerry's press box?
See, if they would just get Taylor Swift to do the Salvation Army halftime show, he'll give the box for free.
That's a valid point. I don't know who's going
to hashtag any Cowboy fan who knows Jerry Jones and who is listening to me. I'm the one who just suggested that. I want 50% of the take. That'll definitely fund the network.
I'm sure they've already got the person they want booked.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely sure of that. But damn good idea.
Oh, it's a great idea. All right. Let's see what have. Oh, you know what? We can round up the AFC West with the two games. We had the Chargers beat the Dolphins 29-27. Look, Chargers blew a big lead late in this game, but it doesn't matter because the Dolphin defense couldn't stop a nosebleed.
And Tua decided to throw more picks and touchdowns.
Tua turned the ball over. Tua throws his teammates under the bus.
And Don Amici had a great performance. What a day of acting out there for the good guy.
Devon Achane, for people who don't get the joke, is who he's talking about. Look, I think it's time to throw some sticks of dynamite in Hard Rock Stadium. I wrote about this. It's on the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Mike McDaniel, done. Tua, find a way to get him out. This team ain't it. And they've had plenty of opportunity. And for the Chargers, look, it's a great bounce back win for the Chargers. But at the same time, I'd be a little concerned because they were up 27-13 late in the fourth quarter, and they let the Dolphins back in.
You know, I hate garbage time touchdowns and garbage time whatever, but it can come back and bite you in the ass if you're not careful when you're letting it up.
Yeah. Especially giving up touchdowns to guys like Darren Waller. And then we'll wrap up the AFC West. The Raiders beat the Titans by a score of 20-10. This is also the final game coaching for Titans head coach, whose name I don't know why that escaped me. Excuse me, Brian Callahan.
Yes.
I don't know why Brian Callahan's name escaped me for a minute, but it did. He was fired. The interim will be former Charger coach Mike McCoy. But anyway,
Mike and I, yep, sorry.
no, go ahead.
No. Mike and I had discussed this before we went live. We both agreed that he was going to be fired. I think it was just way too early. Um, for Cam Ward, I mean, this isn't a horrible thing. He'll have to learn a new regime next year, a new playing style, but at least he wasn't learning this one for 4 years and has to drop it for a new one.
Yeah, this is going to be a really important hire for the Titans because they got to make sure whoever they hire believes in Cam Ward, has a somewhat creative system, and they go from there. But not good for the Raiders. Nice win. Gino still turns the ball over too much because he had another couple in this game. It's just, and no Brock Bowers makes the Raiders tough to watch. Also, all right. So we had that. We had the Seahawks over the Jags 20-12. Game Seahawk defense. Underrated, that Seahawk defense.
Always underrated, but always shows up when needed. Look, the Seahawks aren't the greatest team in the NFL. Neither are the Jacksonville Jaguars, but the defense stopped Jacksonville in its tracks, and Seattle and Jacksonville are both 4-2 going into this week. I didn't think Seattle was going to be that good with the losses of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and then but I'm being impressed by Jackson Smith-Njigba. Has not just had one good game. He has had the combination of what Lockett and Metcalf used to put together last year himself the last 3 games with 100-yard performances and touchdowns. And he's given Sam Darnold an easy target. And we're seeing Sam Darnold excel. But we all know Sam Darnold. I'm waiting for the legs to fall out, the interceptions to start pouring in. That's my unfortunate wait here on Seattle.
I think for Sam Darnold, who's played really well, they have Jackson Smith-Njigba has been great. Cooper Kupp has been okay. I think they tried to ease him in to kind of keep him healthy. Tight ends are making plays. I'd like to see more Kenneth Walker in the passing game, screens and such. I think Sam Darnold has really turned himself into a solid NFL quarterback, a competent NFL quarterback. And I think he understands what happened to him at the end of last year in Minnesota, where he had his worst games at the worst possible time. Hopefully, that's a learning curve for him. But this is a good football team. As for the Jags, look, they're coming off that high against Kansas City on Monday night. A little bit of a letdown game. Okay, I can live with that. You just can't let something like that pile up. Trevor Lawrence, he did his thing. You know. Also,
And Travis Etienne needs to be more consistent as well.
Etienne, I'd like to see them get Brian Thomas way more involved. He's had a weird start to the season. And then we've got the Bucks beat the Niners by a score of 30-19. There were two plays in this game. We talked about the MVP race a little bit on Sunday. And there were two plays to me that was like, man, Baker's that guy right now. One was they had a 3rd and long, and he breaks out of a sack and he runs for, I think it was 12 or 13 yards, gets the first down. And the other one was that deep shot he takes to Tej Johnson that just dropped in his hands.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Baker Mayfield is playing on another level right now.
The chants for MVP are true and through. 256 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike already mentioned the receivers. Roddy White had 17 carries, a 65 and a touchdown. But flip it to the other side quickly. Mac Jones, had 350 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Yeah, San Francisco lost because of turnovers in this game. But Mac Jones is proving viable. I mean, all he has to do is be able to keep San Francisco in it, as I believe he will be starting again this weekend.
Let me look that up.
I believe that might be the case. And Christian McCaffrey needs to be more active in the passing game.
Let's see. Nothing yet on Purdy.
Okay, so as of right now, Mac Jones is starting, but we'll have to wait and see.
By the way, if Mac's playing, he's played well. He had issues this week with turning the ball over, but you know what? Todd Bowles' defense will do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
So San Francisco San Francisco plays Atlanta Sunday night. So and a weird Sunday nighter, but all right. Battle of two of Deion Sanders' former teams.
Yep. He went from Atlanta to San Francisco to Dallas to Baltimore.
To the University of Colorado. So I and San Francisco right now, they're playing without any receivers. Juwan Jennings claimed he has 5 broken ribs. Pearsall's been out. They haven't got
Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne had a nice game, but that's about it.
Oh, Kendrick Bourne was awesome. He hasn't been that good since the Bourne Identity movies.
That was Bourne a long time ago.
So there's that. And now they lose Fred Warner for the season.
Yeah.
This team is just so banged up.
Oof.
It's insane. Oh, and flip side, look, the Bucs are doing good with injuries too. They didn't have Mike Evans. They didn't have Chris Godwin. Emeka Egbuka got hurt during this game.
Yep.
And Baker Mayfield keeps on trucking. All right, Steve. I think that's everything we hit off.
Yes.
So that'll do it for the recap show here on the SAN YouTube channel. We'll be back with you next week, recapping week 7. Check us out Sunday morning for Sunday Sideline Report as we get you ready for the week ahead. Tomorrow night will be Thursday Night Gridiron with Bill and the gang, and they'll preview the Steelers and the Bengals. Follow us on the socials, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, Insanity Real. Go to the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. For the old ops guy, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you all again Sunday morning for Sunday Sideline Report.